Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Continuing work on this 1974 Dodge tin grill pickup truck. When you're doing a rebuild like this, there are a lot of little things that just suck up time. A classic example is this one today. I don't know how interesting it'll be to most people, and the reality is it's probably only useful to, the one or two guys who are building one of these and moving to fuel injection. You can see here I've got this bracket. The fuel tank is back there, and I'll have another video about running all of the lines on this, but basically the lines have to come in, and I've got a pressure and a return that are coming in, and then this fuel regulator cuts it from the high pressure from that pump down to actually carburation level pressure coming out here. Now, this regulator needs to be mounted somewhere. It needs to be somewhere that it isn't vibrating and flopping around. So you have to build bracketry, and it's the little things, again, like this. This, it sucked up an entire afternoon, actually longer than that, because once I fabricated it, I had to do paint and let it dry and all of that. So today I'm just going to go over how I fabricated this, why it's where it is, the things I had to take into consideration. Again, not sure how interesting it'll be to everybody, but I was doing the work, so I might as well video it. Let's get to it. I'm going to be using a high pressure electric pump, so I need to put a regulator somewhere right in here because I'm going carbureted. This is the regulator I'm working with, so I need to come in here. Actually, I guess I'm going to mount it this way, so it'll be in here, out here, and then this is the return that has to go back to the tank. Let's take a look at what we're working with right here for how this has to mount. There's quite a bit of space here, but this thing's pretty big and it takes up a lot of it, so it's going to be an interesting challenge. Now, I need to come in here. That's the easy one, right? So that's already pointing back. But this one needs to go toward the rear as well, so I'm going to need some sort of a 90-degree fitting on it. So it has to be like that, and you can see how far apart they are. I've got a cross member right here. I've got a hot exhaust manifold here. So I don't know that I can, if I mount it straight like this, it's not too bad, but this is pointing right at this. So I think I want to angle it a little bit. So both these lines kind of angle down into the frame. On the plus side, it would give me access to this. Not that I think I'm going to be adjusting that pressure a whole lot, but it gives me access to it easier because it'll be straight up through this opening here. And then this one, of course, is now out at almost the face of the alternator. So I think if I have another one of these that goes on here, I can turn this and aim it so that it comes up basically right through this opening here. So behind the alternator brackets, but in front of the engine block, it can come up here and then come over to the carburetor, which will be right there. To make it even more fun, I've got a couple of holes here that I think would be great for mounting that bracket, but this is a curved surface. So I need a flat surface here to mount this at an angle, and then a curved surface here. And it needs to be sturdy enough that this thing isn't, buzzing around, rattling around. There are a whole bunch of things that I have to pay attention to on this, so it's going to be interesting. And that's why I'm actually doing this whole thing as just one video, because it's not as simple as just bend something in a 90-degree angle and bolt it on and you're done. It's going to take a bit of work to make sure all of this is where I want it and built the way I want, so that fuel comes in and out, everything's accessible, and nothing catches on fire. So let's go over to the bench. So the first thing I need to do is find a piece of stock to mount to. Let's go with about the same thickness as this. This is, what does it look like? So 109, which is I think 12 gauge. Yeah, so it's 12 gauge. And I got this sheet here that I think looks like it's about the same. Yep. So this sheet's 12 gauge as well. So we're going to make that. Now, I know that the part that sticks up that this has to mount to was, accurate measurement about the length of my finger. So I'm going to go a bit longer than that, and then I need to add for the bend where it goes onto the frame. So we need the frame plus a finger plus a little bit more. I can trim it down to size after I get it all shaped. It's easier to trim it than it is to make it longer. So we'll probably come up somewhere around here, cut it off, and then we'll cut it to length, do some folding, cutting, drilling, things like that, and get this thing into shape. All right, this curve matches the frame down there. You can see it's a pretty good gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld that back up to seal it back up, and then I can hit it with the grinder to clean it up, and then I can clean up all these edges. And then we'll worry about getting the holes in this to hold that regulator at the right location. All right, now I'm going to test fit this. I'm not a big fan of that corner and that corner. Feels like when I'm doing work on this thing, it's probably going to cut the hell out of my arm at some point. So I'm going to probably round that off. But first, I want to get this thing aligned. I'll probably do the same trick, put some tape back there so I can use the marker on it. All right, so this is it in place. You can see adjusting the pressure right up through here. Got an angle on this and this one, and it actually comes past this motor mount and down here kind of at the same angle as this. So that all looks pretty good. And then I'll be able to put an elbow on here that goes up and comes up through here and routes over to the carburetor. So I think that will work pretty well. Again, when I'm working on this, I'm sure I will catch myself on this or this. So I'm going to cut these maybe at an angle that matches this bracket back here. Just here and here, or around them or something. Okay, I think the fabrication is basically done. It needs to be cleaned up. Need to get all the mill scale off of it. Probably clean up some of these grinding marks because that's pretty coarse. But otherwise it's ready to go. I'll get it cleaned up, get it coated, and I'll be right back. And there you have it, we're done. I still need to attach it, bolt it down tight, but I have to get the lines on here, and I don't want to have it attached until I'm sure I have all of that run. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching.